Hi there and welcome today to Transponder Trailer Sales. Today we're walking you through your 2024 Wildwood 28Dbud. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera and you do have a mount for a Lippert stair system. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact your parts department and they can get you a quote put together for that. You also have your exterior shower located at the back here. You just got to take the silver 751 key, which comes included with your unit, stick it into that lock and just unlock it and it'll allow you to open that up. You got your spare tire, and then just located in the back bumper on either side, you do have bumper caps, and this is where you typically put your sewer hose. We do have a brand new sewer hose located in the front compartment. It's the only reason we haven't put it in there yet. And then you just put that cap back into place like so. The reason we keep it into the back bumper is just to try and keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. It just presses into place like so. You got your main power cord inlet. This side's going to be a standard twist lock end. You're just taking note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Stick that into place, push, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. And then if you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this and you can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service. We do include a 15 amp park adapter. Again, that's located inside the front compartment, and that's just going to take your 30 amp and turn it down to 15 amps. Just keeping in mind doing so, you're not going to be running anything like your air conditioner. It's really just going to be to run your lights in your fridge. Once you plug it in like so, you got two lights at the top, a red light and a blue light. Blue light's telling you got a good power source. If the red light were to be on, it's just telling you have a faulty power source. You got your main sewer outlet here. You're just going to take that and twist. Take note of those two ears there. Those are going to be the same that your sewer hose has, and they just line up with these notches. Just push that into place, twist and lock it down. You got your black valve and your gray valve. You're always going to want to empty your black valve first. It's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Up here, you got your main little water inlet area. So on the one side, you're gonna have a black tank flush. The way that works is it's very important you have the black tank, the sewer connected and the black tank valve open. Otherwise you do run the risk of bursting your tank. Thread a garden hose onto here, turn it on, and that's just gonna flush that tank out, keeping things that little bit cleaner. And then on the other side, you do have your city water connection. If you're at a site with service, you can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's gonna pressurize all the lines without the needing to run your water pump. You got two cable satellite inlets. And then located right here, you do have your stabilizer jack system. So I will show you how to run that. I'm just gonna go get the tool out of the front compartment. This tool here does stay housed in your compartment typically. I'll show you where that goes. And once we get back up front there, you're just going to run that up to here, run this foot down to the ground, unlocking this here and making sure you took your safety chain off. You're just going to run this, pick this up, put this down like so, making sure it doesn't get locked into place until this bar comes as close to 90 degrees as possible. So today that's going to be, it looks like at the second notch. It does take a little bit to set up, but it is a much better, more stable system. So we're not going to be able to, it's going to overextend if we do it on that second one. So you just back it up, go up to that third one, lock that into it. And then once that's locked into place, you're just turning this until it's tight. You're not wanting to make it too tight, otherwise you will risk bending the jack. But once it's tight like so, that's going to be good and stable. Just adding more stability to the unit, of course. And then to get it to unlock, you're going to have to back this guy off. And while backing that off, you're just going to stick this back up into here, and you can run that up, back suck to the unit. You can use a drill on this, just making sure that it is a non-impact drill and you have it set to the proper setting. So it's going to be on low speed, low torque. So that way you don't run the risk of over tightening this. And once that foot's up like so, just taking your safety chain and attaching it back on. That way if it were to ever fail for whatever reason, it's not dragging on the highway behind you without you noticing. And you'll be good to go. You right up in this fender skirt as well. I forgot to mention you do have 2 low point drains. And then at the front, you do have a storage compartment on this side here. Typically where we put the power cord. And then at the front of the unit, right at the front of the frame here, you got your battery disconnect. So it's a battery disconnect position on. The batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn that to off, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. And you can also just remove this key completely, and it wouldn't allow anybody to run anything inside the trailer. Underneath this black cover here, you're gonna have 2 standard barbecue style propane tanks. Most of the time you can just loosen off these tabs up at the top here to turn them on and off, or to switch over tanks. Today I'm just gonna remove this cover completely, just for video purposes. You got 2 20-pound tanks. Turning them on like so supplies propane to the unit. Just all the way open like any standard barbecue. This is to take these bars off and allow you to remove these tanks for refilling. You got your battery located right inside here. And then at the front, you got your front tongue jack, manual override right underneath that dust cover. And then you have a light and then up and down. Coming over to this side here, we're going through the starter pack, and that's where you're going to find that sewer hose, a 15-foot water hose, and then just some other goodies, as well as that 15-amp park adapter I told you about. And then located up on the wall here, you're going to have the manual override for the tongue jack already up here, and then we have this tool that I was using to lower your jacks, and they just go inside the Velcro strapping as best as you can get it on there. Like so. This is a dry erase surface as well, so if you're wanting to make lists, coming up a little bit more inside this compartment here, if you're just lowering that guy down, always making sure whenever you bring that down, you're just watching how much clearance you have with the ground below you. You're gonna have to lift this safety latch and it'll allow you to slide this out. Once this is out, you can take this hose, which is already connected on this side here, and it just acts as a standard, like a standard air hose. It's just got a coupler, and you just press it into place. And once it clicks in and locks in, you're locked into place. I like assisting this tube here just because it goes to the regulator. You don't want to break that. And you just run this down, pull it down. Once you get that down enough, will allow you to run to this propane quick connect. You're just taking that dust cap off, pulling that collar back, popping that back into place, and it locks it into place. You got this little valve here. That's just closing and opening the flow of propane. Whenever you do have the flow of propane open, it's not going to allow you to activate that collar, so just making sure you do turn it off. And then it would be like any standard regular hibachi. You're just pushing in, turning, and igniting. Sometimes it can take a few minutes just to purge all the air out of the lines. So just be mindful of that. And then whenever you're putting this back in, just always making sure you're putting dust caps on both ends. That way no debris gets in there. Then to get this back into place, making sure that you have it unlocked so that it can slide its way in. And you can close up this compartment. You do have a mini fridge in here as well. That's only going to run on 110 power though. So just be mindful of that. Anything you have inside there while traveling isn't going to be cold. You got 2 exterior speakers as well as this little water plug-in. If you get the corresponding tool, you can plug a garden hose end into here and have running water. You got your furnace exhaust. Whenever that's running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. You got your fresh water fill. So if you put a garden hose in there and turn it on. That's what's going to fill your fresh tank. You got two 110 plugins, a cable satellite outlet, as well as a TV backer on the outside in case you were wanting to mount a TV. And then just at the very back here, unlocking this is just your water heater access. Main thing you're going to want to worry about is just this little switch. Turning this on, it does turn on the furnace. This unit's currently winterized, so that's why we have it off, and I'm going to leave it off just so it doesn't turn on because there's antifreeze in the system. You got your pressure relief valve, so whenever you do winterization, always making sure that you crack that guy and allowing that to pool out of there like so. And then just if you do have handy, just sticking some rags or some paper towel in there, just because sometimes they aren't always sealed the best at the back, and it will seep into the unit a little bit. Shouldn't be much. But just always making sure you do leave that regulator popped open. That way, when the coolant does, or the antifreeze starts to gel up, it has a place to escape and doesn't burst any of the coils. Pulling that guy back and locking that back into place. Now the best part, when you're unlock this front door here, just pushing up on this assist handle, folding it 90 degrees, it'll lock into place. It'll allow you to open up the main door here. Popping that guy open, making sure you do open it all the way. It'll allow you to fold those stairs down. You're just pulling that blue tab, pulling back towards you. Stairs are going to start folding down. On either side, you do have these adjusters. Just pushing them in will allow you to move that foot up and down as needed to campsite needs. Get a nice level space. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice off on your left is just going to be that fire extinguisher. It can be just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. And then you got your monitor panel switch here. Turning that one far right switch on, turns on the awning LED lights. And then turning this switch on, turns on the accent light behind the slide out. And then you have your dimmer switch for your main living room lights. And because it's a dimmer switch, if you push and hold, the lights will go dark or bright to dim. And wherever you let off is where they're going to stay. And then you got your slide out button. So just pushing that down will allow that slide out to start making its way out. Always making sure that you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out, before you're operating it. That way you don't run the risk of damaging anything. Once that slide out's fully extended, you're gonna hear the whines and the clicks of the motor. And there you go, that's when you know you're fully extended. Now you got your awning control. So if you push and hold that out button, the awning's going to start making its way out, and once fully extended, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. You are going to want to be mindful for whenever you start to get up to about 5 to 10 km/h winds, you're going to want to make sure you bring that awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending your arms or ripping the fabric. There we go, got that little flap coming down in the back of that metal tube. Now for you to start if it were to start raining, you take any arm front or rear and just pull down on it. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now if you like that angle better because it allows for more shade, you can do the same thing to the back arm. So always making sure you do push both back to straight before you retract the awning in. Retracting the awning in is just as simple as pushing that in, pushing that button up. The awning's going to start making its way in, and once it's fully in, the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motor's automatically cut out. Then you just got your water pump switch and your monitor panel system. Monitor panel system is just telling you what your tank levels and battery levels are at. And then right up top here, you do got this solar controller. They call it a controller. It is just a monitor panel system. Just restart it here. Push and hold enter, it'll turn it on. And it's going to ask you to go through a startup procedure, and it's going to automatically say yes. So now it's going to go into calibration, and it's just going to tell you all your different intake voltage, what you're charging at, what your batteries are currently at, what you're using. And then there's a few settings you can play around with, but other than that, not much to show you there. You got your main entertainment center. You do have a TV backer here in case you were to want to mount a TV. You can run those cables down. You got plug-in and cable satellite plugins down here as well. This little black button here turns this light on. That does turn the antenna on the roof on. It also improves radio frequency, so I typically just leave them on. And then you got your stereo, power button. Only thing I really need to show you is just your two zones. You got zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 will be your interior speakers, zone 2 will be your exterior speakers. Storage all around. And then you got your fireplace, power button on the far right. The button beside the power button does turn the different flame colors. Then you got your different rock light colors. And then you get to your heat setting, pushing the button twice, you go into low, pushing it one more time, you get into high. And then you got a timer beside that, and it goes anywhere from 30 minutes to about 9 hours. Power button on the right to turn it off. Whenever you are running this, I would hold off on running your microwave just because it is a little much for the system because it's only 30 amps. Inside the main living space, you got your light switch on the left here on the wall. And then you got your versatile bed. If you push the button up, it's obviously going to tilt the mattress up. And if you push the button down, it's going to tilt the mattress down. Windows, they all work the same way. You got to unlock them and then just pull them up to open them up. And then you've got these little tabs on either side, which you do have to unlock to bring them back down. Lock it back into place. Storage all around the bed. Right here you do have a little laundry chute which goes into a net, which does go into the front compartment. That window there is going to be a fire exit, so it's going to allow you to pull that screen right out of the way so you can hop right on out. Other than that, not much more in there. Into the living space, you got your main sofa and dinette area. The couch does turn into a bed. Just having to move the cushions out of the way. Grab these arm cushions. Grab the foot of the bed and pull out. It's going to allow that couch to fold down. Then to get it back in, just having to grab that foot of the couch again and push it back in. Then you just put your cushions back in place. This unit here does have like what's called a Versa lounge. So right now it's set up for it to be an extended couch sitting area, but you can turn it back, just having to pull it out. You're gonna notice you got two stakes on either end. There's stake pockets on this side, and you just gotta lock those into place. Push them down and it locks them in, and then you have your dinette a little bit bigger now instead of the couch. The dinette also does fold into a bed. You're just having to pull these bottom legs out of the table, sit the tabletop on these edges, and you can take your back cushions to fill in the center, and you can have another bed. You can also take that right out of place and set it down on the floor to have an ultra big bed. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. So if you stop there, that's where you're going to stop. And then one quick pull will allow them to release back up. Lights in here just on their own center push buttons. In this area here, you got your sink with hot and cold water. And then you got your stove, your microwave, which is just like home. And then you got your range hood fan. Always making sure you're running the range hood whenever you have this on. That way you're just evacuating those propane fumes. To get that to turn on, you're just having to turn that over to high/light and hit the sparker, and it fires right on up. To get the oven to light is kind of the same process. You're just having to turn it over to that pilot option and push down, hit the sparker, and it does fire right on up. And then you can turn it up to your desired temperature, and it'll hold its own. One thing I'm going to mention, I had the propane system running earlier. That's the only reason it fired up right away. Typically, if you've had the propane off for a while, it can take a few minutes just to purge all the air out of the system because air gets into the system as soon as it's turned off. So just be mindful of that. Sometimes it can take a few minutes. Folding that glass cover down carefully. Right behind this panel here, if you pull these two screws out, it's going to give you access to that water pump for winterization. You got your fridge. On the dial here, obviously it's on the off section now with it all the way clockwise. It's going to be in its coldest setting. You're going to notice some off-grid writing here. The only way this fridge runs on 12 volt is if you have the temperature setting on either one of those off-grid options. just allowing it to run on 12 volts, so just be mindful of that. And then of course, freezer up top. Inside here, and you got your antifreeze inlet for winterization, so it's not under the stove, it is right there. And then for the water pump, there is no bypass valve, so you're going to make sure you do run antifreeze through it, and then just crack it open like I told you earlier. And then you got your bathroom with your toilet, light switch on the wall, shower. On the wall here, you got your thermostat for your water heater. So if there's power here, you'd be able to turn this on, and it essentially just allows you to go up and down through the temperatures. Holding the up button for 5 seconds unlocks it from 50 degrees to go to 55. It's just an added safety feature so kids don't scald their hands, and then you can just go between Celsius and Fahrenheit with that lower button there. And then in here, you got your thermostat for your air conditioner, lights on its own center push button. You got your main GFI plug on the wall, so you got reset up top, test on the bottom. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd check, just making sure it's not tripped. And then you got your thermostat on the wall, so if you hit it once, it illuminates itself. If you hit it again, you can go from cool, you can turn on cool, which is going to turn on the air conditioner. One more swipe over would turn on the furnace and heat, or you can turn it over to cool plus heat. So depending on what you have the thermostat to, is it going to depend on what it turns on. It'll either turn on the furnace or the air conditioner. Today's a little bit of a colder day, so it's turning on the furnace. If you have it on cool and you play with the fan setting, so right now we currently have it on high auto, it's going to be an on-demand system, so it'll kick in and out as needed. But if you were to turn that from auto to just low or high, the air conditioner fan is going to be running full time regardless. So whenever you do go to fire up your furnace, just making sure you have it on that auto setting. That way the air conditioner fan's not kicking in as you have the furnace on. And then whenever you're in heat or cool, just playing with that up and down will change the set temperature, and then just back to off to turn everything off. Right down below the fridge here, you do have your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And whenever you have the fuse blow, there'll be a little red indicator light letting you know which one's blown. And then a little bit further to your right, you got your LP detector, because the stove and the furnace both run off propane. Propane's heavier than air. This guy will start detecting it if you get to worrisome levels. Don't panic if it does go off. Just open up some windows, turn on some vents, circulate the air through, and turn off the main supply of propane in front of the unit. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.